call, I am cool with that.
Oh, I don't think it will be. I don't know. So
Yeah.
a lot of us need that with command. I'm number one.
And you're on here first, Betty. That's got to mean something, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
This will be a good one today.
Yes. Good.
We're basically just going to strip everything down to, okay, what do you
Beautiful.
essentially have to do to actually make money with this thing?
Beautiful.
That's my plan.
Good. Angie.
She's working on it.
Yes.
Hello, hello. Angie, do you have video today? Maybe.
There you are.
There we go.
Well, we can't hear you anymore. Carol.
Oh, okay. She's
Oh
having
yeah,
mic
she's
trouble.
having a problem with her mic. Yeah. There
Okay,
you are.
that might be the best virtual background I've seen. Okay.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, you got to tell me the story on this one, Angie. That's got to be an inside joke.
Right.
That is actually open house picture that I use on Facebook.
Oh, awesome.
Beautiful. I love it.
And this is before, of course, before my hair, before I had cancer and stuff. So it's like now it's coming back in. So
Beautiful transition there. Beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, glad to see
I
you growing
love it.
back.
Mhm.
let me get this call. Hold on, I'm gonna mute you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes. Yeah, it may have to happen. Same thing here. Where's my phone at?
Yeah, this is one of those where you actually had to register for.
I see. I noticed. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, let me register.
Well, it's so I know exactly who to follow up with
That's correct.
for one-on-ones. That's kind of the kind of one of the treats of joining on these with me is doing a follow up. I'm thinking through smart plan exactly what we're going to do today. So
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I need to get more onto that too.
All right.
So where are you located at, Mike? And are you in Houston or?
No, I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
so I'm our regional tech trainer, homegrown in Illinois.
Beautiful.
Before this role, I was the MCA in the Chicago Lincoln Park office.
Oh, okay.
And before that, I
Really?
started at KW in Peoria.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Wow, congratulations on all your accolades there, moving through.
Yeah, they're just titles.
Yeah.
That's really all they are.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. So, yeah, John and I sent you an email this morning. Well, no, it wasn't you. We just copied you in. We sent it to KW Support.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how to answer it. I was like, okay, we'll see what support says.
Right. Let's see what they say. But I think when I went to create the, let me make sure I get the right word. Opportunity. And it asks you for which contact, right? And I had put her in. It was going on like the third time trying to get her in because I knew I had put her in twice before. So I didn't find her. So I was going for a third time again. So wait a minute, where is she going? So John and I was trying to figure it out for 25 minutes. And I think what happened, when I created the opportunities, it like two names popped up.
Got it. That makes sense.
I picked the latter name, which had everything in there, her email, number, address, everything.
Yeah.
That was kind of strange.
Yeah, I have not run into that. So we'll see what those guys say.
Okay.
They usually hear way more stuff than I do, and I feel like I hear a lot. Okay. Well, I have 1:10 on my clock, so I figure we'll get started with just us, and then everybody can catch up. Is that fair?
Yes.
And then that way you guys can also feel free to ask whatever questions, interrupt me, because I do tend to be a talker on these things. And so I want to make sure you're getting the most out of this between Carol, Angie, who just appeared from the wall, and you, Betty, right? So I want to make this as useful for you guys as we can. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So one of the beautiful parts about Command, and I'll do this before I even throw the PowerPoint up, is that for the first time in the industry, we actually have a CRM based on researched models and systems that are from the agent perspective and not from the technologist perspective, right? So this is the first real tool we have to execute the MREA
Mhm.
at the highest level. Now,
Beautiful.
as they've, since they published the book, and what was it? You guys know this off the top of your head?
Not without looking on the book. Something around here.
It was originally published in 2004.
I think I have the older version. Yeah, right?
Yeah, and they did not stop the research after they published the book. So they've kept going, and so they've secretly started putting in some of these MREA2 models and baked them into Command directly. And so we'll dive into what that really looks like. Wow, that is an OG version.
Isn't it?
I saw that cover.
Very, very.
Wow.
But
that's a good one. Cool. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to work on converting your database into a data bank here.
Okay, data bank.
Yeah, and so
I like that name.
Yeah, so Ron Wexler reached out, and was like, well, what's like the most valuable class we can teach somebody? What can we actually show them how to do in Command that will pay off dividends for a long, long time? And so we put together the best practices for how to get your database and turn it from just a list of people into a data bank that helps generate business for you when you're away from your computer. And so that's our goal today, right? Is I'm going to get you set up with contacts, how to set up smart plans, and how to effectively communicate with everybody. Sound good?
Sounds beautiful.
Cool. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this. This is my contact info.
So you just push the screenshot button, right?
Yeah, there's one of those. And we are recording this. So this is my direct email. This is my cell, right? I'll only answer during business hours. I keep very tight control over my time blocks.
Good for you.
Especially as especially working from home, it's really critical for me personally just to have this separate office space for the rest of my life. I'm actually doing okay, right?
Yes.
How are you guys holding up? You guys getting out a bit more or what?
Yeah, a little bit of it, both. A little bit of it.
I've actually been home a lot, but yesterday, this weekend, actually, I had a showing. I wrote an offer.
Awesome.
Because, with me going through chemo and stuff, I still wear my mask everywhere. But I actually went out to show in months because I've just been secluded. So I'm ready to get back and get started.
Yeah, and you're especially vulnerable. My oldest sister is a nurse practitioner in Florida. And she works at a pediatric oncology clinic.
Oh boy.
And so, she's had some, they've been incredibly overprotective, but she's heard some just kind of horror stories for some of those kids who weren't diagnosed early enough and weren't able to get into the clinic fast enough. So, right. This is our new reality, right? We are now in a digitally based, physically enhanced industry. Real estate has made that move. And it's been a while coming. And I think this crisis has solidified that and is making it permanent, right? And so normally I'll cover the rules of the road, but since we're a fairly small crew, I think I'll skip this slide except for the little piggy. Right.
I love that.
Right. So here's the thing, right? It's still got to be fun. And that's the whole point of this, right? Is we're in an industry where, yes, it's chaotic. Yes, it's crazy. But I'll be honest, I've never had more fun at work than real estate. So we want to give our clients that same experience, even when we're being that fiduciary professional, right?
That's right.
So today I want to cover, and I want to go a little bit in depth on the lead gen model from MREA2, and then we're going to cover what absolutely needs to happen here. So what are those essential contact items that we need? How do we effectively communicate with this database to make it a data bank? And then how do we set up smart plans that make this work? Sound good?
Yes.
Cool. So it's not much different than the 1.0. They've updated the drawings, right? So you'll see it's more of a sketch than what looked like Microsoft Word boxes and charts, right? Because that's what they were, right? And so you'll notice there's really three components here. We have lead generation, database, and sales pipeline, right? So we're going to focus today on this database piece. How can we automate this cultivate cycle for the people in our world? And so I don't know about you guys and your business. So tell me, where do you get most of your business from?
I've been in the business for a while. I get them from a lot of my sphere and past clients. Even I'm new to Wisconsin in the area. And, I get them from Kansas City, but I refer them out since I'm back over here. And right now, I've actually, during this quarantine, I've put everything into Command and I've set them up on like the, if they have a house, their monthly neighborhood information. So they've been getting that. And I've actually gotten some potential leads on that where they want to sell or buy or whatever. So I've gotten calls, which I will refer back and get referrals from.
Right.
So
that's easy money. It's like, here, you do this. Thanks.
Basically, yeah.
Right. Except you've done the hard part, and the hardest part in real estate is the relationship. It's not the transaction.
Yeah, and I've had the people that I've closed last year. I've been in contact with them. I call them once or twice, once a month or every 2 months. And I've gotten a lead or two from those people that I've closed on.
Great.
So.
Cool. How about you, Betty?
Pretty much the same as Angie from my past clients, friends, family, mostly. That's where they come from.
Good, because you're definitely in the right room, because that's exactly what we're going to cover, is maximizing that. So I don't know about you guys, but I have, 2,000 Facebook friends these days.
Wow.
I'm not sure I would count all of them as actual friends, right?
Right.
And so, so that relationship can be just a little bit one way sometimes, right? Where I go like their stuff, but we don't really have a connection and a conversation, right? And so when we're looking at our database, when it comes to Command, right? When we separate out kind of and I'm going to draw my line here. When we separate out the prospecting and marketing, so this is how people get into our world, from how we stay in touch with people, we're really just operating in two applets here. So we can really simplify this piece, right? So and I'm going to use this white space over here. So Command is designed very intentionally. And so when it's used intentionally, you get the most from it, right? So following E to P, right, if you're entrepreneurial about it, it's very easy to get lost in some of the shiny things and it's easy to get stuck, right? But when you understand how purposeful it is built, right, it starts to really click and it starts to get you results. So there's 3 parts to every transaction, right? So at some point, we're out there generating leads, right? And this is having conversations with our sphere of past clients. Some people use online campaigns, they'll use their sites, they'll get agent referrals, since Angie has some friends back in Kansas City that can handle everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And some of those take designs. I'll be honest, I don't cover insights anymore because none of those get publicly posted.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so all of these are a bit cold, right? So those campaigns, we have no idea who these people are typically coming in. Same from our sites, right? And so when they come in, let me use my eraser here. There we go. It's so fun to have a new toy to play with. I literally discovered that this pen works on PowerPoint this morning.
Oh.
And I've been doing this for like 6 months.
Okay.
Right? So they come into the funnel on the lead side, right? So as soon as they raise their hand, we're immediately in follow-up mode. Right? And And so if they're cold, right, they're going to go straight into cultivate. Right? This is where we're vetting them out, right? We know they've acted on a campaign or something, right? That's a different approach than when we're working with our contacts over here, right? So we know it's typically 3 to 7 years on average between people's moves, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to get paid a little more often than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I want to help as many people as I can find their dream house. And so we got to go hunting, right? And so this is conversations, this is prospecting. You know, one day we might get back to door knocking, who knows? But we want to stay digitally based, right?
Yes.
And so after that's transaction management, and that's all down here, right? So they'd say, hey, I'm serious, great, let's go set an appointment, awesome. That conversation with contacts in your sphere is a bit different, isn't it? Right? Because it's more of a relationship piece than it is in business. And think of it like an ATM, right? The more you can deposit, the more value you can give them, the more likely you'll be able to withdraw something as large as a real estate referral, right? That's a pretty big ask sometimes. And if all you're doing is asking without pouring into them and offering value and giving them something that's relevant to them, the more you're going to feel salesy, right? The more you're going to feel like you're taking rather than providing a service.
Yeah.
And that's a rough spot to be in. I remember in college, right? You know, I always felt like I was taking, and this was in a fundraising role for a nonprofit, right? Because I was literally just calling down a cold list of people I didn't know, and I just really struggled with it. And, you know, that lasted 3 months. You know, they need to see some funds for the Children's Hospital of Illinois, right? And so after that was up, you know, I got elected as vice president for my college fraternity. They're like, you've done fundraising? So I was like, great. Okay. So I have to go down a list of cold people? No. So what we did was a totally different approach. So we wanted to raise food through the United Way for the food bank in Peoria. I went to school at Bradley. Great school, by the way. Not because, you know, I have 2 pieces of paper that say I made it.
Because you liked it. You enjoyed
I had so much fun. It gave me a place I could fail safely. I graduated, so I didn't fail all the classes.
Right. Good.
So when we did that, right, when we started putting together the plan, I was like, I just want to work with people we know. Who do we know? Right? And so we connected with all the other fraternities and sororities, and we just put together this giant drive on the quad. And so we tied it into, we did a sorority pageant, right? Where we called it Miss Crescent Girl because our symbol was like the crescent moon. And so we added the food drive to that week. In our first year, I'm really proud to say we raised 10,000 pounds of food in one day.
Beautiful.
Just by having the brothers in the fraternity talk to the people they know on campus. Right? We didn't put up any flyers. We didn't do any of that. We just went and talked to our friends. And so, right, that's a totally different approach than this cold. And so when we look at it, right, when we look at those relationships, right, there are certain things that we remember that we don't always try and write down and make a system out of, right? You know, there's always the basics, right? Name, email, phone, address, right? Those are the essentials. There's stuff I know that's consistent across the board that I need to track myself, right? So these are custom fields. So purpose of a custom field is, you know, same category, but it may be a million different results.
Okay.
Right. And so if I'm going by like the Ford acronym, you guys remember that?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Recreation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So none of those are actually standard fields except for occupation, right? So we would want to go in and create a custom field for their family, right? I've always struggled with kids' names. I don't know why. Always have. Right? And I want to track their hobbies. I want to know what their actual dreams are.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So that's important stuff to remember. And I have a terrible conversation memory. So tags are totally different than that. These are the different audiences we want to communicate with, right? And so, Angie, you may have tags for folks in Wisconsin. You may have tags for Kansas City, right? Those are two totally different conversations, right? You may have it based on school district, right? And we can see these all at a glance on the contact dashboard to help us remember faster where we are in the relationship. And that's the point of a CRM, right? The relationship manager helps you remember what you don't remember. And then we can use filters and smart views. Let me show you guys. Yeah, we'll keep the ink. We'll see how this goes. Right, and so when we look at this dashboard here, we can set it up to really make sense for us, right? So if you're sharing the app or you've sent out, you know, a neighborhood nurture smart plan or anything like that, there's this last visited column, right? So by default, it's just sorted one way. And so when you click it and sort down, you can see who the last people are in the database to visit one of your agent sites. Now, does that give you something specific and relevant to talk about? Right? You know, apparently I have multiple personalities. Shocker. Apparently one of me visited, one of me clicked into the neighborhood nurture this morning. So I can see exactly which property.
Oh, like over there on the right. Okay.
Yeah. And so, right. So if I go back to contacts here, you're able to customize all these columns to fit what works for you. Right. And so if I go customize columns here, I can choose, you know, chances are I really don't need to know someone's address that often. Right. I'm not the type who does pop bys. But I do want to know, have I called them? Have I emailed them? You can probably skip stage, right? But I can also reorder these columns. And so for me, tags are very important because then I know exactly who I'm talking to and I have some context into how to frame my response, right? It's also a very fast way to sort and find people.
Okay, yeah.
So faces might be blocking that. You'll see my phone jumped into just this first part, right? And so that's customized columns. We can also filter by views, right? So when you first come in, right, if your main source of leads is your sphere, I would set up a tag filter for either your core SOI or your SOI, right? And so whatever tags you include in this, it'll pull all those people. So it doesn't like pull who has a core tag and an SOI tag. It'll pull all my core people and it'll pull all my SOI when I do that filter. If you want to narrow down by, let's say, someone who is, and I'll use Ron Wixler for fun here. So I know Ron hangs out in Palatine these days, right? But there's still a few other Palatine folks. And so if I search by another tag here, I can filter it down like that to really narrow it down.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense? So if you're looking for someone really quick, that's a huge, that's a huge tool for that.
And that's in filters, correct?
Yeah. So you can filter by one tag, search by the other, and then you're able to basically do a double filter,
Okay.
so to speak. Right? So so I'm going to dive back here to our friendly little PowerPoint. Right, so that's at a glance, right? What you can do within the contact card, and this is important. I don't know about you guys, but I have, let's see, I have notes here.
Yeah.
I have this poor notebook that's been used. I couldn't find a second one, so I started tracking in my journal a little bit. It took me all week to figure out that in the drawer of this desk is another clean one, right? So my notes are all over the place, right? Now, if I'm doing that with my business contacts, I have no organization. I have no real system, right? And so using this add activity, right, to add those events and notes to the timeline, help jog your memory, right?
Yes, it does.
And this helps you stay in emotional proximity, right? Even though we're all, for the most part, you know, pretty isolated at home, this is a way you can stay in context with people, right?
Right.
And what's nice is this is all connected within the platform. So if they have your consumer app, you can see they've either edited the collection, looked at the showing guide, right? You can track all their activity and your activity, right? Their opportunities. So when it comes time for the transaction, that's all here.
How do you do those highlights in red? Yeah, the ink. Oh, okay. I didn't even see that down there.
Yeah. So if you've updated your PowerPoint,
so that's cool.
Yeah, so it's invisible until I like clear it off, right? How cool is that? I have this little magic pen. So I use a Microsoft tablet.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
And it looks, this is very dangerous because it looks exactly like the blue pens I have. So I've been very good about it. Haven't done it yet.
Is it for your touch screen? You have a touch screen?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
gotcha. So I really enjoy, so I have a Mac back there somewhere. But I use this more often just because it's so much easier to present, right?
Yes.
So if I'm doing digital conversations and I'm a pen and paper guy, right? This is my way to do it.
Okay.
And so, right, so when we look at what those essential steps are, right, we have to add in those contacts. They have to be in here for us to use it, right?
Yeah.
So add as a foundation for everything. It's get your sphere into command so we can start to turn things on and we can track those conversations and stay in relationship. So we really need a clean email, clean name, clean phone, clean address. And if you're missing any one of these, right, these are don't pass go, don't collect $100, don't collect $200 steps, right?
Right.
So if your sphere is not in here, right, stop here and get those in. You can do it bulk, right, through the import wizard or through the, there's this CSV. Pro tip, don't upload 4,000 at a time without actually inspecting it, right? So whatever contacts you're going to add, start with a small batch.
Okay.
And make sure those are clean, those come in clean, so then you understand how things come in before you do a bulk, right? Or else what can happen is you just pull in, I don't have it up right now, you just pull in 700 contacts that you have no idea what to do with, and you get paralyzed because you don't have a system for it. I did that. Right, so you'll notice my list has narrowed down to 141. Right, and these are people I stay in conversation with all the time. Okay, coming back. Right, once you have that, you have a conversation with these people about updating, getting neighborhoods in, right? adding in birthdays and relationships. So we can link spouses at the card level. So in some systems, right, a husband and wife shared the same card.
Mhm.
In Command, we separate them intentionally because this helps us set up whatever document e-signature so they can each sign the documents on their own versus like, oh yeah, we have to go back, add an email, all that. And life happens, you never know. And so it's nice to kind of have some of those life events separate from the transaction itself, right?
Right.
And then we want to be very smart with our tags, right?
Yes.
So definitely a sphere tag because that's a similar audience. You guys know DT, D2?
Yes.
Cool. So getting those tags in, and then what other tags are you guys using today?
I use since I've been working on my database, I use if they don't have no email, invalid email, no phone number, address. So what I'm doing now is going through, and for some reason there's a glitch in the system on the neighborhoods where I'm sending emails and it's coming out as it stopped working or whatever, and it's a valid email. It's
oh, that should be fixed.
No, it's still, I just did it. I'm
Just
going
now?
Yes, it's still doing it because I had an AOL one. I don't know who to report it to directly because I have one that's an AOL that it won't even let me add their AOL email. So
support at KW? See what they said?
Yep. So for best results on support, let me show you guys. Right. So, oh, you know what? I should reshare my screen before I go run off like that.
Yes.
I know there's always that green bar around it, but it's just not big enough, So this is a pro tip from someone who gets more support requests than anyone in the region combined. So there's a site, answers.kw.com.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about that one.
kw.com, okay.
Yep. So with answers.kw.com, I'll show you guys up here in the top right corner. Submit a request.
Okay, submit a request.
Yeah. So here is a much cleaner form with more details that allows you to get faster support because support doesn't have to go do research.
That's right.
Right.
Makes
so you're
sense.
giving them as much information up front as we can, right? Your email, what's going on, who's involved, is someone else reporting it, what region, we are mid-American, somewhere.
Okay.
Right. I know Palatine's 142, right?
142.
And then there's select topics here, right?
Yes.
So this will make sure it gets routed to the right department.
Okay.
You don't have to try and classify this, right? So I would call that, and say that's a smart plans one, right? So this is what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When did this start happening? So if it's today, great. Smart plan name.
Monthly neighborhood. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. And then they'll ask for troubleshooting steps, and they'll actually give you hints on what to go do.
Yeah.
Like one that I had is, so I have the tags and everything. Right now I'm working on trying to make sure all the sellers that I have marked are on the neighborhood, because there are some that come back as an invalid, which I have tagged as invalid, which I'm going to go through and report it once I get through all the sellers that I have.
Yeah.
It takes time to do all this stuff.
It does. It does. Oops.
So, yeah. And then some of them have actually been corrected because there were some that were Gmail or Yahoo that are actually connecting. But then when I go back in a few days, it's disconnected again.
And so the other thing to go check on this is make sure, I think this is me. I think this is the right me. Make sure there's a primary address
Yeah, I do. I have that.
Right. That's
Okay.
how you have to. It won't work otherwise.
Right. And
Same
that will trip
address.
the primary neighborhood.
Okay.
And that's what will actually send it out.
Yep. And you need to add a neighborhood because sometimes if you don't have a neighborhood, it won't let you at all. It won't let you know.
Because it's
I,
like, well, there's no neighborhood to monthly nurture. So,
yep.
yeah, cool. So, just a pro tip, run those requests through here.
Okay,
Right?
thank you.
Okay.
And
Good.
one of the
That's good to
yeah, and one of the best pieces of advice somebody gave me was if you can film it live. So there's an app, and I'm going to throw this in the chat.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Film live.
Right.
Mhm.
So go to loom.com, loom.com. There's a extension to Google Chrome where you can record your screen, and then you can narrate what's happening.
Oh.
Right.
Good.
And so in like a 2-minute video, walk through, hey, got all this in place on this contact, just unable to update an email here. I've tried this, they're not sitting in archived, right? They know what kind of code is executing based on the screen you see in command, which cuts down that research by 15-20 minutes.
Nice.
Right. And they prioritize those tickets with a Loom video.
Okay.
Because they know they're faster solves and they have more.
Yeah.
It's more data rich, right? So they have more. They have context versus an email versus like an email to support that's hey, I'm having trouble with contacts. Wait for a response. They don't know what's going on. So I like to think of it like Law and Order, right? If I'm going to take this to court, I'm getting a conviction on the system, right? This process is supposed to work this way, and doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So typically when I go to bat as RTT on those, I pretty much go present my case like this. And I give as much detail as I can. I have a direct connection to tier 2. So Betty and Angie, if you guys aren't getting answers on this within a couple business days here, Betty, I have yours. Angie, make sure there's a ticket in with support on it.
Okay.
And then copy me on it if you don't get a result in 2-3 business days or even a response. And then I'll go to bat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's come back. Share screen. I get distracted so easily, right? So we got to talk about message and method here. You may recognize this from Shift. This is an important part of the MREA too, and I believe this is page 57? 58. I was that close. 58.
Yeah, very close.
So close, right? And so more than ever, right? I bet if I took a look at both your phones, there's probably about 24 apps that you've downloaded in addition to the ones that came with the phone, right?
Probably.
Right. So we have a lot to compete with when it comes to messaging and methoding, right? And there's a lot of distractions in that notification thing across the top, right? Lucky me, I got nothing right now because I cleared it out.
Yeah.
Right. But we have to be very specific and very personal to capture attention now. So a generic marketing just doesn't work, right? If you're going to do an email newsletter, it's got to be to a target audience, right? It can't just be a generic one. So, right. So when we look at our sphere and the current market conditions, and this is my graphical representation of current market conditions all over the place, right? Every neighborhood's going to be different. Whatever message we're sending out has to take those into account.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so when we're working with our sphere, right, when we make an offer, it's different than with someone we don't have a connection with, right? So we're looking to make some kind of deposit with them. And this can be an emotional deposit. This can be a transactional deposit. That's close enough, right? You guys can read that. Right, those are typically the two types of deposits we're making with our past clients in Sphere, right? They either need something from us or, you know, they just need to hear something from us. And so the indirect offers are, you know, those are more of those, you know, nice things to have, you know? So a direct offer would be, you know, hey, have you refinanced your home? I can help you out with Keller Mortgage, right? Something that's definitely tied to your relationship as a professional with them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Versus an indirect offer, like, oh, I don't know, grocery delivery or.
I have a question for you, Mike, about Keller Mortgage.
Yeah.
Do you by chance know if they do I-10 for refinance?
I do not. You'd have to talk with one of their reps.
Okay.
I do. It can be. They tend to stay at more national level programs.
That's fine.
For most everything, right?
Okay.
We haven't quite gotten to the level where they're able to do specific programs within.
Okay. You know what I-10 is, right? Or you don't?
IDA or I-10?
I-10.
IDA.
I-N. It's for those who do not have social security number. They use the identification numbers instead to purchase the home.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with that, to be honest. I've not run into that.
Okay, I do because I'm Hispanic, so there's a lot of people that use that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So maybe, and that may be an off, right? That may be one of those direct or indirect offers, right? Like, hey, you know, even if you don't have a social security number, let's talk about this program with this bank.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe, hey, have you considered what's going on here?
Yeah.
And all you're after is some kind of response, right? And that's how you know you've made a good deposit. If they respond to you, then, you know, let's think of it like kind of the slot machine going off, right? Like, all right, cool. Put in a quarter. Great. Got a quarter. Or what slot machine takes a quarter anymore? You got to go get tokens. Right?
Yeah.
Or just use that card, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our message. Oh, an eraser is not going to draw on this thing, right? And so with our method, right, we're either prospecting for conversations, right? Or we're marketing, right? Which is some kind of item, digital or not, right?
Yeah.
And so either one of those will work when you're in this system. It's designed to be prospecting based, right? Marketing enhanced, right? That's the model. And so that means our prospecting activities have to be wider and more than our marketing activities. Does that make sense? In order to get our best bang for the buck. And so when we look at what types of communication people are engaging the most in, there's different strength to this, right? And I really should update this slide to say video conference.
Yes.
I'm going to put Zoom just because we're on Zoom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So by far the weakest one is email. Why?
Yeah, I probably do what I do. I have so many, I just choose the one I'm looking for at the moment. And that's the one I want. Yeah.
Do you even bother opening half of them? How many of them get filtered out to some label or some like auto archived, right?
Yes.
So it's good to just keep that touch there as a reminder, right? Or if something you need to track for compliance, right, and be interactive with. But as far as relationships go, email tends to be one of the worst, right? With text, a little better, right? So because chances are most everybody is here staring at the phone. Hey, look, right, notification. So that pops up just like that. It gets their attention in their hand, right?
Yeah.
And people will tend to react faster, and you can have a text conversation, but you lose a lot of the tonality, you lose any body language, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell sarcasm or not,
No.
right? And so it's still an important pillar of our communication plan, but by itself doesn't get us where we need to go, right? With a phone, we actually have a conversation, right? And you can hear how they react. You can sense the pauses. You can, catch the tone, right? Right. And yeah, there's some dead space, but it's been very effective. That's why it's been around since 1908, something like that.
Early 1900s.
Right. Text is really just an updated telegram. This has been around for a while. We just put a telegram in our hands without wires. Right. And then does anybody recognize this little square here? So why would I place the consumer app that high?
Because everything is mostly apps. Everything.
Right. And what do active clients need more than anything else? They need information.
Information.
Right. And we're past the information age, and we're in the age of the customer now.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not able to provide information quickly, they will go find somewhere else that will.
Right.
Right. It's not just information that's available, it's insights. Right. We in the real estate industry have insight into what's going on in the market, what's going on elsewhere. Right. Do you think this is the right price for this home? Yes. No. Great. Is this neighborhood a great fit for me? Knowing you, yeah. With 2 kids in school, it's just down the block from that school. This would be a great fit for you. Right? And by far, and I don't think I need to really dive in too highly on this, is in person, right? You get every single cue that your brain has evolved to recognize in a conversation, because for millions of years up until up until we started writing stuff, every conversation was face to face. And so that's how we're programmed, right? So let's take advantage of all of these tools, right? And so understand we can control who we follow up with, how frequently, and how intense. And so I would say you have a successful smart plan strategy when you have at least half of your contacts on one or more smart plans. Because then you're letting command do some of that reach out for you, but you're still, right? You still have the quarterly call plan, so we still have a place to have a conversation, right? We have the biweekly neighborhood nurture, which is relevant data to the current market, specific to them, right? Which gives us targets, right? And then we have our relationship pieces, right? And so in these smart plans, there's how to celebrate a birthday, what to do for a home anniversary, right? And it's going to be different for people. Some people want to visit face to face, right? Like, hey, I'm throwing, a Zoom happy hour for all my clients with birthdays this week. Join me, and I'll just Venmo you $5. You can go get Starbucks or something, right? We're seeing that. We're seeing people celebrate a home anniversary with, hey, do you need a room painted? Great, right? Or how's everything going, right? Checking in, giving a gift, right? So I want to keep these, and then we're going to flip over. So when it comes to smart plans, right, we have our library here, which is our essentials, which you may recognize from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. We've just broken up the 36 touches into smaller pieces, right? And so if there's one easy one to do, right, it's promote my app.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right. And the reason I have this first on my list over quarterly call plan is because it sends an email on your behalf.
Yeah.
It reminds you to send a text, and it reminds you to follow up with them. Right. And so if you don't have Twilio set up, these are just kind of steps. So let me go find this one. I've also built out several custom plans. One, because I like to break stuff and push things to the limit. And two, there's some people in my world I need to contact more frequently than once a quarter, right?
Yeah.
And so they have a templated email. So what's nice is, so should you decide to set up Twilio, right, which is a third party we have an integration with that allows you to get a phone number from them separate from your cell and text them from command. This will fire off that text on your behalf automatically.
Okay.
And so in your intro, right, in your first text, you have to identify yourself because this is a new number they've never heard from you, right? And so that's why this opening step is, hey, this is Mike Hillary with the demo team. Do you see the neighbor listed a home around you? Chances are that's probably true. Maybe not so much in our rural markets, but right, download the brand new KW app to check it out, and then your link goes in there. So it gets the app in their hand. And so remember how we said all their activity shows up in the contact card? So we can start to see what's going on, right? Is this a time to reach out between quarterly phone calls and say, hey, I saw you're looking for homes in, we'll say Arlington Heights, right? I thought you were in Schaumburg. What's going on? What's changed, right? A reason to reach out and update. And then another touch, and then that's the end of the plan, right? So with these smart plans, we can digitally stay top of mind without having to remember to, send the text, copy, paste, send the text, copy, paste, send the text, copy, paste, right? So this allows us to take away some of those admittedly administrative tasks of communication and have it automate for us. And then when they respond, boom, we go to contacts, we look at either last contacted or last visited and see who's messaged us, right? So if I go to last contacted here, oh, come on. Sort, you love me.
There you go.
Sorry, there's a bird just sitting at my window. For a moment. Right? Okay. So I know I talked to Megan yesterday by text, right? And we talked about, hey, direct mail through command. And so because these are through Twilio, these are recorded on the contact card automatically. What I could do is I could add it manually. So if we had a quick meeting, a call, text, or just a quick note, right? Ran into at Jewel, right? Whatever. I can add that as a quick meeting, right? Right, and so it sounds like you guys have a good start on these, right? So you guys are running a few smart plans. You guys have some contacts in. So at this point, it's about consistency and just really doubling down on it, right? Command is designed, unlike other systems, to be sphere focused. Most CRMs are designed around cold leads and just collecting them and then dripping on them. Even the best have a 2% conversion rate, on those cold leads.
Mhm.
We know 1 out of 12 will refer us, 1 out of 12 will work with us. Those ratios have not changed. Because and last I checked, people still move into houses. My Roomba's not out shopping yet.
Yeah.
And until that date happens, it's still going to be about the relationship.
Mhm.
Well, so I know we didn't go very technical today. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right?
Yes.
I wanted to talk more strategy and the thoughts behind it and why we
Mhm.
want to go down this path.
Yeah.
Right? Because yeah, these like COVID care calls that people have been talking about, that's a
Mhm.
habit that probably
Mhm.
needs to stick around for a while.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
I need to go because my alarm already.
hey, Angie, if you didn't get my contact information, I will find you and I'll follow up with you one-on-one. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to set up one-on-ones where we do a deep dive into
Mhm.
each of your commands.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
if it's cool with you, I'd like to poke around and give you some pointers on some best practices that I've been working on with some of our top teams.
That
Sure
would
would
be
be. Yeah, it would be
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So that's the reason we forced registration today, is so I could follow up with you guys and set those appointments,
Okay.
right? Because I want to make sure you're getting the most out of this system.
Good.
Because all I want to do is make you more profitable and more efficient.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right. So Angie, since you got to go, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
And I did get
Thank
an offer
you.
accepted. I got my offer accepted, so
Oh, congratulations.
I haven't had a commission in a long time.
Awesome.
It's not done yet, but at least it's a start. So
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
that
right?
that deserves
Exactly.
that deserves
It
a little
does.
dance here.
It does.
Well, there you go.
Oh, look, a little dance. That's right. Like
Yep.
it. I love that.
So yeah, so that was Jason Abrams. He may have danced on a live stream,
Really?
and I captured it just for fun.
I'm like, who was that? That wasn't you.
You.
Oh. Might be the most energetic man in KW, Jason Abrams.
Beautiful.
Well, Mike, I appreciate
Awesome.
you taking your time out of your schedule to do this with me. And
Yes.
Betty, it's
Thank
good
you.
to meet you.
Good to see you as well, Angie. Take care.
Yeah.
Keep making those deals happen.
Yeah, let's go find another one. Might be
Yeah.
hiding in those
Next.
contacts somewhere.
Okay.
Right? They are.
Okay, bye-bye.
All
Okay,
right, see ya.
bye. Thank you. Whew. Sorry I
then-
had to do that.
No, you're good. So I have my next appointment
Mhm.
isn't until 2:15. So I wanted to give you this 10 minutes to ask anything you want.
Sure. Okay,
And I'm going to stop the
Uh,
recording if that's cool.
yes, that would be great.